Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video, and this is the one that people have been suggesting for the longest amount of time, and it's actually been a very long time since I've done a JxmyHighroller reaction, but I have had this on my memory to do. I've just sort of been finding my time to do it, but again, people have been wanting this for the longest amount of time, and the video is my D1 story, a world record 40 scholarship offers, and life lessons. I think this is like on JxmyHighroller about how he was as a basketballer, because I've seen people say in the comments he was actually he was a very high level player, and I don't know the sort of the small details about why he didn't get it into the NBA, etc. But I guess we'll find out in this video. But people have been wanting this, man. They've been saying to react to this for so long now, and yeah, man, I love it because I mean, you guys know how I feel about his videos. They're probably my favorite story type videos on basketball and on YouTube, and they're really interesting. But yeah, let's check this out and see what happened when he was in college, etc. See what his career led to. And yo, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. I'd appreciate that. But yeah, let's check this out.
A long time for the much requested, long overdue D1 story.
I don't think I've ever seen him before, actually. I don't think I have.
What's up everybody, it's Jimmy, and today's video is about my Division 1 story. About a month or two ago, I said in one of my videos that I was a Division 1 athlete, and since then you guys have been requesting over and over again for my Division 1 story. So today we're gonna talk about it. Now, before we begin, I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna do this. There's a lot to talk about, and all of it is important, but rather than telling you just about college, I feel like telling you what led up to my college experience would be a much better story. I hope you guys enjoy it. First off, to those wondering what sport I did in college, you already know what it is. I played D1 chess. Nah, I'm just playing. I ran track and field in college at Washington State University, a college in the Pac-12 with some schools like USC, UCLA, Oregon, Arizona, University of Washington, as well as others. For those who aren't familiar, I went to the same school as Klay Thompson, who I actually got to talk to and get to know whenever he would visit the campus.
Wow.
One time he actually brought the NBA trophy with him and I got to hold it. Pretty awesome experience.
That's
before I go
mental.
I want to start at the beginning, which was about 6th grade. In 6th grade, I started to really get into sports. I hit a huge growth spurt and grew from 5'1" to 5'7" in 1 year. I was a pretty tall kid for my age. I actually dunked for the first time that year when I was 12 years old. It was around the same time that my mom started getting me into sports, and I realized how much I liked them. As I'm sure you guys can tell, basketball was my favorite sport. I also did track for the first time that year, which came really natural to me. I actually held the 12-year-old high jump world record for some time, which at the time didn't seem like a big deal, but looking back, that's crazy.
When he speaks in his videos about certain things, he can actually back it up because he knows his sports himself.
World record when I was 12 years old, but I was a kid, I didn't really care. So the next year, I was recruited by a Coach Jones, to play my first year of AAU basketball. It was this season that we won a national championship under the program Team Jones. It was an incredible experience, and it really did open up my eyes to how many players are really out there and how good they are. When you're a kid, you are 100% convinced that if you're the best kid on your block, you're the best kid in the world. And as you get older and older, 100%. You start to play against kids from other cities and states and even countries, and then you start to realize you really ain't all that. But for the time, my team and I were national champs, and it was awesome. This was also the first year I started playing football, which out of all the sports I played, I was the most gifted at, but I enjoyed the least. The next year was pretty much the same, played average competition, averaged 35 points a game, and I really didn't see a lot of improvement. I didn't have the best coaches because I was just bigger and faster than most of the kids, so they just let me play rather than polishing my fundamental game. This year was the first time I had an in-game dunk. It was on this huge kid named Devin, and it was actually an and one. It may not look like it right now, but your boy Jimmy had some bunnies, I'm telling you. I could get up a little bit. Sitting around after college could do a lot for you. I'm telling you, young kids out there, do not sit around in the off season. It will come back to bite you. I continued to play AAU, but changed leagues so I could play closer to home, and the competition wasn't as good as my other league. It was also the same year that I met my mentor, Coach Smith, who I owe a lot to. She really helped me as an athlete, and more importantly, helped me become a young man. So the next year was freshman year in high school.
I like how he does that, man, because that is important to athletes. The majority, I say all of them, they make it because they have the good people around them and the trainers and all the sort of just the people who push them in the right direction and help them grow as a person. I like how he said that.
And this was a big turning point in sports for me. A week before basketball tryouts, I was at an open gym and I fractured my ankle. It was the first time I faced an actual injury in my life, and I wasn't really sure what to do and how long it would take to get better. The answer to that was the entire basketball season. So I didn't get to play any basketball my entire freshman year, which was huge. Coming into that year, I had about 2 or 3 coaches from around the league asking me to go to their high school and join their program. So going from that to not being able to play at all was pretty hard. The next season was really good though. I played varsity as a sophomore, and by the end of the season started on a team that ended up going to state. It was an awesome year for me, especially coming off of what happened the season before. However, that same year, I got really good at track. My coach/mentor pushed me all summer to get faster and stronger. I started lifting weights and decided to do summer track rather than AAU ball. I finished the season as the #1 sophomore high jumper in the country and one of the fastest kids as well. I had this huge jump of like 6'7" that got me that top spot, which was one of the highlights of my high school sports career. But after my sophomore basketball season, this is what my coach had to say about me.
The quickest way to sum him up is he is the most freak of an athlete I have ever seen at the high school level.
Jesus.
He did stuff this year that I have never seen a high school kid ever do.
It's a proper athlete.
And not a game went by, and I'm not joking, not one game went by that not a ref and an opposing coach said, who is that kid? He would get rebounds where his head was about 2 feet above the rim. He was dunking on guys in transition as he was, dunking on people, really getting the crowd fired up, getting the guys fired up. And if he sticks with it and skill-wise develops, he's going to be a dude. He's going to be a dude down the line. He was a pleasure to have this year.
After having a great year of sports my sophomore season, I started to get interest from colleges both for track and basketball. By this time, I had stopped playing football. Like I said, although I probably was the most gifted at football, I just didn't really enjoy it. I honestly couldn't even tell you why.
I like that's a fair point. Like, if you want to pursue something, try and pursue something that you actually enjoy. Like, if you're good at really good at something, obviously, and you do somewhat enjoy it, then obviously that's an incentive to do that as a sport. But if it's not your favourite sport and you don't enjoy it, like you're saying, like even if you're good, just don't push yourself into something that you don't really want to do. Maybe he regrets it. He probably doesn't regret it now because he's got a massive YouTube channel. But maybe he would have regretted it if he ended up in a sort of a 9-to-5 job, but still, man.
On the court, I was still doing good though. I averaged a double-double, and we were playing really good
What an athlete he is,
One
though.
game, I actually had to guard Zach LaVine, who now plays for the Timberwolves.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, he did work me, but it was back and forth for the most part. By the end of my junior season, I had received offers from about 40 different schools, some for basketball, a lot for track. But right when things were going really good, things got kind of tough. I ended up transferring schools because we moved, and the basketball coach at my new high school wasn't having any of it. Like, he kind of just decided to make an executive decision to give me minimal playing time because he had this young group of guys who were coming into the program and he wanted to keep that nucleus together. One of those political moves that coaches make regardless of the implications it could have on that player. The ironic thing about it was that when I moved schools, it was so unexpected that there were articles regarding the effects it would have on my previous school and the school I was moving to. In other words, everyone saw what could have happened but him. This was probably the biggest blow in my basketball career.
So actual
because
coaches
I worked
around
really hard
you,
to get better every year, and I felt like it was all for nothing, especially since it was my senior year. What's even worse is that I dropped a career high on his team the previous season, so none of this made sense to me. It got so bad that by the 3rd game of the season, we played my old school, and when I wasn't in the game, the student section would chant, "Where is Jimmy?" And at that point, I said, forget this dude and his whack-ass team, and I got a head start on the track season, which paid off. By the end of that season, I was all-state in the 100, 200, 400 long jump, and I made the All-American team in high jump. After having such a weird season my senior year in basketball, I had to reconsider what I wanted to do in college. Play basketball at some small college, and maybe work my way up to a Division I program in a couple years, or choose from any of the big schools that gave me offers in track. My top schools were Oregon, UCLA, Yale, Brown, Michigan, BYU, and Washington State. At first, I very originally committed to Oregon, but later decided to attend Washington State because I had a lot of family that went to WSU and I wanted to keep it in the family. And at the end of the day, you got to go where the money is. And being as an in-state university and the fact that they offered me a larger scholarship made that decision pretty easy. I graduated in the class of 2013 and accepted a scholarship to run track and field at Washington State University. Showing up on campus my freshman year was awesome. And bruh, let me tell you, the things they give you for free, they were giving us free gear, free hats, shirts, sweatshirts, free shoes like every other week.
So right decision, yeah? Right
iPads,
decision.
We got free laptops,
Oh my-
free tutoring, which doesn't sound like a big
Oh,
deal,
look
but
at
when you're in
that.
college, that's huge. Free admission to sporting events,
Wow.
free food. They gave us free breakfast, lunch, dinner. It was ridiculous.
US colleges are absolutely insane, man. You would not get this in the UK, not to this level, nowhere near, man. This is wild. The facilities that you guys have at next
really
level.
did take care of us and they really wanted us to succeed. But at the same time, that gives you no reason to not perform to your abilities. So the pressure's on the
True
minute you
that.
show up on campus. We had our own nutritionist that would give us personal
Wow.
plans. We would have our own individual trainers that would train us one-on-one every single day. We even had team doctors on staff to take care of anything you needed at any time. So
Bloody
my
hell.
freshman year in college was interesting. My coach and I both decided it would be best if I redshirted, which for those who don't know just means you don't compete for a season and instead just train and lift to prepare for the next season,
Okay.
saving a year
That's
of
smart, to be
eligibility
fair.
on the way. In this year off of competition, I got a lot stronger and faster. I had a 40-inch vert, I had a 4.4 140, and I was back squatting 370. I also moved from being just a jumper and a sprinter to being a decathlete, which is an event that takes 2 days to complete and involves 10 different events within it. It's a lot of throwing and running and jumping and
He's not even just a basketball player. He's just an absolutely nuts athlete. Like, where's this gonna go wrong? Like, why? Like, I'm guessing maybe like he gets an injury or something. Like, or did like maybe his sole goal, or maybe like to do with track and field, like the pay isn't as good as like you think. I'm not too sure. Like, because even if like he doesn't make it in basketball, I'm quite interested in seeing why he just doesn't like make it in another sport instead.
vaulting. It's ridiculous. So the next year, my actual freshman year, I was doing really well. I was exceeding expectations and I finished just outside of scoring at conference. And so the following year, I worked even harder and placed indoors and outdoors
Jeez.
at the conference championship. This was huge for me, a kid that wasn't even sure what sport I wanted to do, and I was at the top of arguably the best conference in the country. I was running against Olympians and doing pretty well. By my junior season, I filled out to about the size I am now, 6'1", 180. After the success of my sophomore season, I was excited to start my junior season. I was doing really well in school. I received all Pac-12 academic honors that year, which I was really proud of. But the coach that had recruited me ended up retiring, and I got a new coach that was really good, but I just didn't have the same connection with him. And considering I spent half my day with my coach, this wasn't exactly ideal. Despite this, I ended up doing even better indoors, almost reaching the top 10 all time in my event in WSU's history. And again, just when things were going really good, I got a really bad injury. Practicing,
man.
training, and lifting for 6 to 8 hours a day for 3 years really put a strain on my body, and right as the outdoor season started, I got a hernia. This was the toughest injury I've ever had to
hernia?
go through because of the terrible timing.
I think my brother
and
had
what
that.
I was projected to do that season, along with how long it took to heal. It was really tough for me. And after missing the remainder of my junior season, I ended up foregoing my senior season of track and field at WSU to just focus on school and just life in general. With everything that was going on at that point in time, I just
That's a
didn't.
smart thing to do. I feel like this is why the American sort of education system is very smart, because like these athletes, people who are trained to be top athletes, if they don't make it, they've got that education on like sort of like the like they're still learning and they're still getting their grades as well as being athletes and like getting like doing all these sporting events. In the UK, it wasn't like that until recently. I think it's starting to sort of learn from the US, like the US colleges, etc. But man, the fact that he's such a smart guy as well, because you see from his videos, he's such a knowledgeable person. He just seems like the sort of like the perfect guy, man, to do all these different things.
See sports fitting in the picture.
It's
When
a
you're an
shame it's the
athlete
injury,
and
man.
Sports take up all of your time. It's really easy to forget how fast it could all be gone. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I accomplished more than I ever thought I possibly could in sports, especially at the collegiate level. I met a lot of great people too. I have a number of friends who have put an insane amount of work in and have accomplished their dream of playing in the NFL or the NBA.
Wow.
And while he was attending WSU, Trevor Dunbar and I actually became really good friends. friends. Hashtag Shift Team General. Shout out Trevor. My cousin, who is a couple years older than me and played basketball at WSU, was just recently signed to the 76ers D-League team, so bless up to him. And since I redshirted, I still have 2 years of eligibility left, and I have had thoughts of pursuing basketball again at the collegiate level since I am no longer running track. When I was running, I would always have people ask if I was ever going to walk onto the basketball team or pick up a different sport in the offseason. I even had a receivers coach approach me about a spot on the football team at Washington State after seeing me run. It is an interesting idea, and I would be lying if I said I haven't thought about it, but for now, my competitive days are on the back burner.
Okay.
So there it is, you guys. My
This is a banger.
Like I said, I wasn't really sure how I was going to share this with you guys, but I felt like telling you my high school experience and how that led up to my college experience made for the best story. Especially for you younger cats who are still in high school, don't be afraid to pursue your dreams. I promise you, you'll run into doubters and people who say you can't do something, but once you make the decision to be great at something, whether it's basketball or track or even other things like music, once you make that decision to be great, you can accomplish literally anything you could possibly set your mind to. The moment you decide you want something, it is up to you to go and get it and prove to everyone, and more importantly yourself, that you can and will make it happen. I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, until next time.
This video flew by, man. What a guy he is. I really, really think he's a sound guy, man. Just everything about, like, he just seems like, he just seems knowledgeable in all these things, and he just seems like down, like, sort of just understanding of certain situations and all that. Mate, it's just a shame. Like, it goes to show, like, he was, like, breaking all these records, and he still, like, couldn't make it because of the injuries that he's got. And I feel like he's just probably, now because of his YouTube, he's just sort of focused on this, like, in comparison to sports. But man, if he didn't get those injuries, who knows what could have happened. Like, it's actually a shame that happens, but it's like, that happens, man. Like, you get like people, like, you get like young kids who have worked all their life, and then they'll get a serious injury, and then it's just all gone. Like, all their hard work is gone, and you can really understand why that would have a real, like, drain on their mental state. Because man, you've worked all your life for something, and it's just gone because of an injury. Jesus Christ, I can't imagine. Because I mean, I've been into sports, but not to this level. Like, American, like how America, like, sort of deals with sports and athletes is a whole nother level to the UK. So I mean, this was something though. I really enjoyed this video. This is a real, like, in-depth look, and it's not even just for, like, JxmyHighroller. It's just a good look at, like, how the US works with sports and how other athletes have had to make it themselves. But yo, this is a bang, man. I really appreciate this. Like, appreciate the suggestions for this. Like, it's a sick video, man. And I just assumed you were some YouTube likes basketball. Nah, mate. That's what I initially thought, but like, I sort of started understanding more and more. I mean, to have that sort of understanding of the sport that he does, you've got to be, like, really, really, really into the sport. Like, you've got to be somewhat good at it as well. But like, the fact that he wasn't just good at basketball, he was good at other sports as well, just goes to show. Imagine casually talking about how you dunked at 12. Like, that's nuts. I don't think I've really thought about how crazy that was. At 12, he was 5'7" at 12 as well. Jesus, I averaged like 35 points a game. Oh mate, for God's sake. This one coach best his NBA career up. Yeah, that's sad, man, because it goes to show, like, coaches can even make or break your career. Like, you have a good coach and you can have, like, the good surroundings around you, you can make it. But you have, like, a coach you don't relate to, who's strict or doesn't pick you. He sort of, like, picks others over you for, like, a reason that I don't really understand why. Like, it's sad. Like, he had all these battles, he had these injuries, he had these coaches to deal with. And these are like, these things will happen with, like, people all around the country and all around the world in different sports. Like, they'll have the potential, but they just won't have the grounding, or they won't have the right people around them. They won't have the equipment to sort of, like, help, like, build their body, like, into, like, better athletes, etc. Like, all these different things. It's sad to see, but it's just how it works, isn't it? Like, I guess that is just the way the world works in them sense. But lovely video, man. I really, really enjoyed this. If there's any more that he's got like this, I'd love to see. I don't know if he has, but if there is, I'll be down to see them. Just link them in the description. Not even necessarily JxmyHighroller, any other sort of YouTubers out there, I'd be down to see them. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. And yo, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.